Oh, that's Mr. Hornsby 3. This is the Mr. Hornsby 3 show. And today I am going to be talking about, for Anime Month, I'm going to be talking about Dragon Ball Diama and Dragon Ball Super and how they may be connected and how they may not be connected in this video. So, yeah, but before I start that, I want you guys to know yesterday, about close to 8 o'clock last night, I did my wrestling figure event rewind where I had Sting versus Hollywood Hogan for the WCW title. I put a storyline in there that, you know, made people think that maybe Bret Hart was going to join the NWO. And you'll have to see how that story played out by going and watching the match. And I set up the next rewind if this one does well. With that being said, let's talk about Dragon Ball Diamond and Dragon Ball Super, because the last time we seen Dragon Ball Super was what, 2015? If I'm not mistaken, maybe 2017. And since then we've been promised that Super will return because it's been on hiatus. It's a pretty long hiatus for Dragon Ball Super. And you know what? Also, since the end of Dragon Ball Super, which might have been 2017, we have seen a few more arcs happen. We've seen the Granola arc happen. We've seen the freaking, what's the other one's called? Fuck, can't think of his. Seen the Granola saga in the manga, and we've seen Moro, yeah. Moro, and we've seen Black Frieza in the manga. Which, after I get done talking about these two shows, then I will, then I'll talk about some news that came out from one of the people that were working on Dragon Ball Super. But, yeah, we'll see. But anyway, let's talk about Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Diamond. Now, they could be in the same universe. They both take place not too long after the Majin Buu saga happened. In that same year, they both have started out with Bulma and them having a get-together party for Trunks. And a get-together birthday party for Trunks. And both have ended in chaos. The first one ended with frickin' Beerus crashing the party. And then the second one ended with everybody getting turned into child size. Again. If that sounds familiar, that is some GT territory. But anyway. But, honestly, yeah. You know, they could be in the same area, but I think they're in different timelines. Because ever since Trunks time traveled back in Dragon Ball Z and the Android Saga to set up things for the Android Saga, then eventually the Cell Saga and all that, Trunks splintered off a lot of different timelines when he freaking went through and did that. And there's the deal. They even talk about it in Dragon Ball Super how Trunks splintered off a bunch of other timelines. So, you know, when you think about it, if you watch Dragon Ball Super during the Zamasu chapter and Goku Black chapters, or during those arcs, you know, Trunks kind of got flack for messing with the timelines from Zamasu. So, honestly, Zamasu really was not happy with what Trunks did. That's what made Zamasu go evil in his timeline. Now, the Goku Black was a different version of Zamasu who had been challenged by Goku in a fight and got disrespect, or felt like he got disrespected by Goku. So, well, it was supposed to be a spar, but it wasn't. And then that made Zamasu kill Goku in another timeline that's similar to the timeline we had in Super. So, here's my thoughts on this. I think that, you know, that Super is in its own little world and Diamond's in its own little world. I mean, both shows went completely different directions. We have Super with all the God stuff and all that, and then we have Diama with them being tricked into childlike kids, and they go and face, they go into the demon world, that demon world that the Bora ruled, to fight somebody. Now, my opinion, I'm gonna say the main timeline is the frickin' Diamond one. I don't care about the God mode. I don't care. Now, of course, it's probably gonna be the frickin' Super timeline's the main timeline. But, you know, because Super kind of picks up after all the events of Z and all that stuff. And Daima picks up kind of like what the events of GT did. Only this time it's not just Goku that gets turned into a kid. It's freaking Bulma, Yamcha, Chi-Chi, Vegeta, Piccolo, Trunks and Goten get turned back into little kids. I would say both these shows are canon too, because they're both, you know, made by Toriyama, so people can't say Daima is. People can't say that Daima isn't canon because Toriyama worked on that before he passed away. And people can't say Super is a canon because Super has a manga and all that. Daima does not have a manga. But hey, you know, I'd rather stick with the Daima timeline because we got Super Saiyan 4. Because I don't give a damn about God mode. I don't care about Beerus. You know, I thought Beerus would be a cool villain. At first, he's not even a villain. He's just kind of, I guess you could say, an anti-hero. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. But, so I think both these shows are set in different timelines, you know. Maybe Super's set in a different Z timeline, and Daima's set in the GT timeline, but it's not called GT this time, it's Daima, and Toriyama worked on this one this time. Oh, I don't know, I mean, I honestly say, like I said, I love Super Saiyan 4. Now that it's canon, I am happy that it's canon. Will we see it in Super? We'll find out. If Super ever does come back. And if Goku and them use Super Saiyan 4, then Daima and Super are in the same universe. But if they don't use Super Saiyan 4 in Super, then Goku, then they're in different timelines from each other. So I think that's what it is. It's like they're separate timelines. And probably the next season of Super, or Daima's probably going to be focused on when Pilaf wished for Goku to be childlike again. I can see that being a running theme throughout the whole freaking show of Daima. I don't know how many, because I know they're supposed to be doing a season 2 of Daima. So, I don't know. We'll have to see. But, yeah, I mean, makes sense. Super, we don't know when it's coming back. Now, we did get some Dragon Ball news from Tora, or Tora, I don't know what his name is. I can't pronounce it well, but he said he wants to make he wants to continue the Dragon Ball Super anime, but the problem is Toei Animation is the ones that decided on whether we get Super back, if we get another season of Daima or whatnot. Is there going to be a manga of Daima? Who knows? But the guy said he wants to continue Super, and if Super is supposed to be the main, supposed to be based off the main timeline, then they need to get that back on track and get the show back. Because yeah, Daima, it might be a different timeline from Super, but if they're gonna do that, they gotta get it back on track. It's, you know, get the show back. Because I'd like to see Moro and frickin' Granola and Frieza, and I'd like to see some old villains return, such as, I don't know, a new version of Cell. Now, yeah, we got Cell in that freaking Dragon Ball Superhero, but that was not the Cell we remember from the Cell games. Like, maybe Cell finds a way, he gets out, he gets brung back somehow, and then he freaking has found a way to evolve his power, because he does have Frieza's DNA as well. So I'll be honest with you, Cell is like my favorite. I think Cell is my favorite Dragon Ball Z villain. I love the Android Saga. I love the Cell Saga. I also like the Majin Buu Saga. I think Majin Buu is my second favorite, but Majin Buu is now good. So he's not evil no more. He's not bad or anything. So if anything, we could get Cell back. But I don't know. That'd be awesome to see in manga form again too. Because it seems like the Red Ribbon Army still ain't going away. That's what Dragon Ball Superhero was all about. And we know eventually Goku and Vegeta and all them's going to end up killing Frieza anyway. Probably killing Frieza again. So, I don't know. But when they do bring Super back, I think it's time for a time skip. No more of the frickin' trying to fit it in between the years of peace after the Majin Buu Saga and going on to what's going on now. And that's one of my biggest problems with frickin' Dragon Ball Super. Is they tried to squeeze it all in between the events of Cell and the between the events of the end of Majin Buu, and to, you know, where we get to the point where Goku leaves with Oob so he could train Oob. And honestly, we should have got a follow-up on that story. I mean, yeah, I know we got it in GT. I wish I got a follow-up of that. It's when they broke Super back, instead of doing the Battle of the God thing again, and, you know, now it's all about the gods, bringing in Zamasu, bringing Frieza back to life. Kind of feel like all the stuff they did in the old timeline with Dragon Ball Z was fine how they ended it. Frieza finally got his comeuppance when Goku became Super Saiyan and beat him. And then frickin' Trunks kills him as a Super Saiyan and kills King Gold. And then we got the frickin' resolve with the Cell games, then we got the resolve with the Majin Buu thing. If it was going to be a new threat, then yeah, I would have liked to seen more of what we got after Goku left and after Goku went to train Oob. But like I said, yeah, we saw that in GT, but some people say, well, GT ain't canon. So, I don't know. Or we could have just had the story leading into when Goku meets Oob, and then he fights Oob in the tournament, and then after that, he goes to train Oob, and they continue it from there. But honestly, I don't know. Kind of weird the route they went. And like I said, had they based, like, you know, they could have based the whole thing where Beerus came to Earth, like, years after that, you know, after Goku and all them had all that peace and all that. Years after that, Beerus wakes up and he comes to Earth to find the Super Saiyan God. And then you could have did it that way. And then you could have did the Jiren thing, because you didn't feel like there was any threat with Super. But then again, you didn't really feel like there was a threat with Diamond too, because it's in between the events of the end of the Boo saga to the end of Z. Both shows are splintered into that spot. Just would make sense if they would have just did that. Like said, alright. Been years since the Boo situation. Boo's good now. Now we get Beerus coming to Earth. And then Frieza gets resurrected. And da 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 da. That all could have worked better had they did a time skip with Super in the first place. Not try to squeeze it in between the freaking end of the Boo saga to the end of Z. It just made no sense. So that's what I was hoping for when I heard about Super coming out and all that. I'm like, well, that'd be great if they just, you know, they thought Majin Buu was the biggest threat they have, but then you get Beerus. Then you get freaking, then you get Frieza being revived, and then you get, you know, then you get, the tournaments, the multiversal tournament and the tournament of power. And then, you know, then you could have did Granola and Moro, even the Red Ribbon Army stuff would have worked as well, because it's like, you know, all that could have fit in to, you know, like, you know, Goku and them all think, oh, well, now it's safe to freaking not, even though Goku and them are still training, now it's safe, no more threats, no more Boo, no more Cell, no more Frieza, and then all this stuff happens. But they didn't do it like that, and that's kind of what irks me about Super. You know, because they want to squeeze it between the events of freaking the end of the Boo saga to freaking the end of Z. And it just doesn't work, because you're not going to be invested in it as much as you would if it was a whole new timeline. Same thing with Diama. I'm like, well, I know Goku and them's going to end up beating this guy anyway. I mean, heck. Especially if you see the events of what's going on with Super. They're going to end up beating this guy. There's no way this guy's as powerful as Deborah anyway. Deborah was supposed to be the strongest in the demon world. So, yeah. But, yeah, I think they should have just, you know, ended it. They should have just said, you know, it's been years since the Majin Buu situation. And then we get Beerus waking up. And he wants to fight the Super Saiyan God. And, like, him and Oob were training, and then, like, Beerus shows up, or something like that. And then we get Frieza getting revived. Then we get, you know, then we get the tournaments. We get the Zamasu thing. All that. They showed that all that, and had it years after the events of Boo, and after the end of Z. But, I don't know. Is what it is. And they should do the same thing with Diama too. Diama could have been the predecessor to Super. And what Diama could have did is, like, you know, it picks up after the events of the end of Super. Goku and them want to do the Tournament of Power again. But then, you know, the people in the Demon World are, you know, shocked with Goku and them and how strong they've gotten to where they're at God mode and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. But, yeah. But anyway, that's my video talking about Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Daima. And maybe that's why I didn't like Daima or Super as much as I did the original Z. Because Z, you knew the threat. Now when I watch Z now, I'm like, well, I already know, you know, they've already seen the end of this. They beat Frieza, they beat Cell, they beat frickin', you know, Majin Buu and all that. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, my opinion is, you know, it's like, well, hey, I'm like, well, now they're not a threat, but, you know, I still enjoy watching those because they were still engaging. Super and Diamond was not that engaging because you knew somehow or another Goku and them were going to win. I will say it is nice that they made Super Saiyan 3, you know, respectable again, and they put Super Saiyan 4 in Daima. I wish they would have did that with frickin' Super. Instead they went with frickin' God mode and all that crap, and, you know, Super Saiyan Blue and then Ultra Instinct and blah 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 blah. And like I said, that all would have worked out fine Had they freaking put it years after the Boo situation, you could have got Frieza coming back. You could have got Beerus. You could have got the tournaments and threatening the world. And you could have got the Zamasu and Goku Black stuff years after that. Cause like Goku's like, everyone's like, well, it's been peace times. And then all of a sudden, and then you have Goten and freaking Trunks as teenagers. Gohan's getting older and, all that. But instead they decided to go with, let's squeeze it between a couple months after the events of freaking Z up till the end of Z. And if GT's not canon, people want to see how Goku training Oob would have panned out. But, they done screwed it up. They done screwed it all up. Yeah. But they could have panned out what happened to Oob after he went and trained with Goku. And we could have seen Pan and all that, but you know what? It is what it is. But I'm not gonna rant about it. Anyway, so tune in Friday. Judge Dredd live stream playthrough. I finally get to do my frickin' Sylvester Stallone song on YouTube because I don't think I ever got to do it on YouTube. Done it on I did it on Facebook like numerous times. But we get to do that song Friday, so I'm happy about that. Next week, I'm probably gonna put up something on, what I hope to see. I know it's gonna be another Toy Talks video, but I'm hoping to see what I'm gonna put up a video talking about things I want to see at Comic-Con, not just from, and I know I kind of did this a month ago, but I also predicted some things we'll see, but I want to talk about some things I want to see. And, at San Diego Comic-Con this year, not just freaking, not just for WWE figures and all that, but like for a lot of toy companies. And then next Wednesday, I'm going to talk about all the most popular anime shows that are out there. That includes that includes talking about Naruto. And then I'm going to talk about why I think Naruto was so popular. We'll talk about a few other things. But then next Friday, no playthrough, I'm going to do a big reaction to all the freaking news we got from Comic-Con next Friday. Because, heck, I'm like, heck, instead of wasting another week just talking about all the reactions, because I also want to talk about Shark Week and that, which I guess is coming this weekend, I don't know. Might be coming at the end of the month. Who knows? I haven't seen no advertisement for it or anything like that. Maybe AEW will advertise it tonight. But anyway, let me know your guys' thoughts on Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Daima. And let me know what y'all think. Do you agree with some of the things I said about Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Daima? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. Please like this video, subscribe for more. Follow my Facebook fan page, Mr. Hornsby 83 Show, where I post up everything on Sunday, what I'm going to do for the week. Even though I didn't put up that I was going to do that Wrestle Figure Rewind when I posted up Friday or Sunday, I did say I was going to do it in the YouTube videos I've done the past few days. And I did say I was going to do it Monday. Yeah. Like this video, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you guys later, and peace out.